Hi everybody, you have arrived at Todd's World of Cooking, and today I'm going to show you how to make meatballs in dill sauce. Now I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and ring that notification bell. Now here are all of the ingredients you're going to need. Okay, so let's get started. We have our 1 pound of ground beef. In a mixing bowl, we're going to add our minced onions to that, followed by our black pepper, our salt, and allspice. I'm going to put on a glove so that I can get my hands in there and mix this stuff up. I'm first going to add the ground pork. You could also use veal, ground veal, if you would prefer that. If you don't eat pork, veal works very well in this recipe. And we're just going to give this a bit of a mix. We want to make sure that beef and pork are mixed in really well together, evenly, along with those spices. Now we're going to add our egg, which has been lightly mixed. Start mixing that into the meat mixture and add our half and half. That probably looks like a lot of half and half, but it's really not. What that half and half is going to do is going to make these meatballs super moist. And they won't fall apart. You don't have to worry about that. This recipe just makes a really nice, moist meatball. Now we're going to add about half of our breadcrumbs. You do not want to use any type of seasoned breadcrumbs. These are just plain breadcrumbs. We're adding just half of them to begin with. That way we can work it into the meat and get those breadcrumbs hydrated before we add the rest of them. Okay, so now that we have everything mixed and combined really well, we're going to make some meatballs. I'm going to put some water on my hands. That keeps the meatballs from sticking to your fingers. I usually make them about 1 inch in diameter. You can make them larger or smaller if you like. This batch is going to make about 96 meatballs. If you tap the meat mixture with your index finger, this will happen. It's like magic. What we're going to do now is put these into a preheated 375 degree oven for 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how hot your 375 degree oven is. And here they are when we pull them out. Now I did make 2 batches of these. I used another sheet pan to make another batch with the rest of the mixture. And now we'll just set those aside and get on with making our dill sauce. We're going to start off by putting the batter into a hot pan. I'm just going to use a whisk and play with the butter. It's kind of like, oh, it's like hockey. You know, there are no goals or anything like that. No hockey sticks, but it's kind of like hockey. See? Now I'm going to add the flour. And what we're going to do here is we're just making a roux. We're making a light roux. You don't want this to get too dark because it is a light colored sauce. So all we're doing right now is mixing that butter and flour together to cook off the flour flavor, the flavor of the flour. Okay, so now we're going to add our chicken stock. We're just going to whisk that around, and we're going to bring this up to a heavy simmer. Let's call it a heavy simmer. It's not a heavy boil, it's just a heavy simmer. We're going to add our salt. We're going to squint our eyes and add the secret ingredient, which is dill. It's such a secret ingredient that the camera goes blurry on us now and then, because it's a secret. Now, these meatballs are actually very easy to make. The only time that it takes is making the actual meatballs, rolling them. One time I made about 3,000 of these for an event, and I did have 2 helpers with me. But they're really not difficult to make at all, and they come together pretty quickly. And believe me, it is worth it. Now you can see that's our heavy simmer that we want. We're going to use a spoon. It should coat a spoon, coat the back of a spoon, just like any sauce. If you're making a velouté or any type of sauce, bechamel, you want it to coat the back of a spoon. That's what we're doing here. Now we're going to add our cold sour cream. You want this to be cold. If you put in room temperature sour cream into a hot sauce like this, it's very likely going to break, so you really want it to be nice and cold. That way it's not going to break on you. I know a lot of people are afraid to cook with sour cream putting it into something hot. but if it's nice and cold, real cold, it's not going to break on you. Now that day that I made those 3,000 meatballs like this, at the event they were gone very quickly. They got gobbled up and hardly had to do any dishes at all at the end of that night, because even the sauce was gone. People were going in there with their spoons to get whatever sauce they could get out of it. That's how delicious this sauce is. Okay, now it's time to bring it all together. You might notice that the meatballs are not in the same position that they were in when I put them into the oven. And what causes that is if you're bringing them over to the sauce and you almost drop the tray, they all tend to shift to one end. I didn't drop them. They just kind of shifted. So what you want to do is take a nice small spoon and move the meatballs around in that sauce to get them nicely coated. I don't know why I chose to use a small spoon instead of something larger. Would have been a lot easier, but you'll do better than that. These meatballs are really good. They can be used as an entree, served over rice or noodles. Now here's my second batch of meatballs. Notice I didn't almost drop them, but they just came out of the oven, so I'm using my little tiny spoon to put them into the sauce because they're too hot to handle right now. But as I was saying, these can be used as an entree over rice, maybe with some vegetables on the side. They're really good as an hors d'oeuvre. They're great for a potluck. People will not be able to get enough of these. They are absolutely delicious. So now we've got both batches of the meatballs in the sauce. We're just going to give those a nice stir, get everything coated nicely. Something about these meatballs is not only are they absolutely delicious when they're hot, but even if you take them right out of the refrigerator and they're ice cold, it's like you're eating candy. They're just amazing meatballs, and that sauce is just out of this world. So there you have it, meatballs in a dill sauce. I hope you enjoy this. Thanks for watching, and as always, have an awesome day.